At Dave Cooper Live, we connect the industry leaders in the architectural, engineering, and construction space with the people, the products, and the processes to help them build it better. All right, welcome to Dave Cooper Live. Today we are doing a special spotlight series on rebuilding hope, rebuilding with resilience. Too often we're dealing with crushing headlines like the California wildfires, the devastating effects of floods, tornadoes, and even hurricanes. Communities already crippled by a shortage of affordable housing and the lack of skilled trades to build and rebuild. To our friends and colleagues struggling with the fires in California, our hearts go out to you and your families. And we hope today's conversation will offer some hope for those in need when they are ready to rebuild. Today, we'll explore better ways to not only build, but rebuild. And we're proud to introduce Steve Glenn, founder and CEO of Plant Prefab. But first, as always, we need to give a shout out to all of our supporting members that allow all of these conversations to happen. So a big shout out to our friends at Cobalt Creed, who is powering today's show. They are a cutting edge, small duct, energy efficient central HVAC solution for homes and businesses where space is at a premium. Whether you're looking to optimize comfort or energy efficiency, Cobalt Creed has the expertise to make it happen. Visit them at Cobalt Creed for more information. All right, a couple more sponsors, and then we're going to bring Steve onto the show. CombiLift is the largest global manufacturer of multi-directional forklifts and straddle carriers, a leader in long load handling solutions, offering a free warehouse and site optimization design service. CombiLift helps companies of all sizes and from every industry maximize the capacity, safety, and efficiency of their warehouse and storage facilities. A big thank you to Paul Short and the team at CombiLift for helping us all to build it better. Visit them at combilift.com. Ready to scale up your offsite construction business? Introducing 4A Constructs, your solution to finding skilled labor for offsite manufacturing. Say goodbye to the headache of recruiting a skilled workforce with hand-selected certified tradesmen that are expertly trained and managed for offsite manufacturing, set crews, and finished crews, ensuring maximum productivity and safety. Unlock the future of skilled workforce development for all of your offsite construction needs. Visit them at 4aconstructs.com. All right. Excellent. Thank you so much to all of our supporting members and all of these supporting members that you're seeing scrolling across the screen below as well. All right. Without further ado, let's hop into it and let's bring Steve Glenn into the conversation. Steve, how are you today, my friend?
I'm good. Good to be with you.
Well, we're really happy to have you on the show. I'm super excited too. I'm got to give a shout out. We were at your plant a few weeks back and we did an amazing video of your new facility up there, and it was just rolling stuff down the line. It was packed, and I'm loving the content you're putting out there of the new sets you're doing. So, but before we get into that, Steve, I know you're in California. I know you do not live too far from these fires. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on from your eyes, and hopefully everything that you have is safe and sound and your family's safe?
Yeah, no, it's bad. I live in Santa Monica, and I am a few miles south of the fire. My house has been fine. Was never in an evacuation zone, but I know many friends who lost their homes. I mean, it's they say 12,000 structures lost so far. Fires are ongoing. This is kind of our Katrina level event here in California.
Yeah, and I believe it's the count's like 24 people have lost their lives, and that's the ones that they found. So, well, our prayers go out to everybody out there. Some shining light on this, though. There are manufacturers such as yourself and people that are very focused on rebuilding affordable housing, right? Not just because of the fires. You are already on this mission to build better housing, build it all over the country. You're building in Colorado. I think it's super important for us as a community to shine a spotlight on those that are not only going through the fire, but also have thriving businesses. You have team members that live there and work in your facility. So, and your new facility, state of the art. So I want to definitely talk about it and jump into it. And I know you guys are working on some programs also to help California. So fill us in on how you see this moving forward for you guys.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, our focus is both single and multifamily housing. I think we're pretty unique, particularly among the very small number of companies in the U.S. with automated plants who also do single family homes. We may be the only one on the West Coast. And I think partly because of that, and our focus on any architect, right? So we're not a product company. We work with any architect on any design. In the past, we've been very involved in fire rebuilding efforts. We built a number of homes after the Woolsey fires, and we were actually built a number of homes from the fires in Napa and Sonoma a number of years ago. We're already getting calls from folks who want to understand what the process would be like to rebuild after this fire, and I suspect we'll be very involved. So we'll be introducing very shortly a part to our website that talks about this, as we did after the Woolsey fires. We're thinking about the destruction here, to be clear, is 20x and still counting what happened in Woolsey. This is a much bigger disaster in terms of just the sheer number of structures that have been lost. But one of the opportunities here, because you have areas, for example, the Sunset Mesa above the Getty Villa and the Alphabet Streets and the Palisades, you've got literally hundreds of lots that are the same size, that have the same zoning. And so one of the opportunities we're exploring, putting together buyer collectives that would involve a smaller number of set designs, one or a small number of GCs who would work to build lots in parallel. And then we're a B2B company. We at this point, we only sell to general contractors. So we would sell them the vertical components. And with this process, it would not only save significant time, right, because you've got these standardized designs, everybody isn't going through their own custom design process. There's a process whereby we can get products pre-permitted by the state, so at least the offsite components would be pre-permitted. The on-site work would proceed very efficiently, like a production home builder does, and then of course we would build in bigger volumes, so we'd be able to pass on the savings to the customer from a cost standpoint too. So you're saving money and time. So those are some of the things we're exploring. And by the way, I mean, you of course have a great group of architects and developers and suppliers who are fans of the show like me. And please email me, Steve at plantprefab.com, if you have ideas, if you want to work with us, because we're not even a week into this. It started last Tuesday. So we know we can be helpful in terms of being able to get people back into their homes as quickly as possible. And we're just talking about the efficiencies. And of course, there will be tremendous demand, as we saw after Napa, as we saw after Malibu. And so, smaller number of GCs vying for a lot of work. So again, I think we can be very helpful. And then there's a whole another part of this, which is building in a more sustainable and resilient way, which we can get into too.
Yeah, and this video that I'm playing is going to show that while we talk, so people truly understand. And for those watching, because there are so many more people now than ever in the Los Angeles and surrounding area that are looking for housing. Not only did we have a shortage of housing to already begin with and affordability, now it's, at catastrophic levels. And I think that people truly understanding the value that a manufacturing process such as yours can deliver with speed, with accuracy, better built than you're ever going to find on site. Personal opinion, you site builders can beat me up all you want, but you cannot cut that 2x4 across the toe of your boot 1,000 times the same way on each project. But Steve's equipment can. But with that said,
1/32 tolerances.
What is the tolerance?
1/32.
1/32 tolerance. And I think this is where people truly really need to understand the efficiencies of this. And I think this is a great demonstration on this video and what you're doing, so people truly understand that this isn't, cheap housing. This is quality, affordable, but yet it's sustainable, it's energy efficient. You're doing things that nobody else is out there doing already. Low voltage wiring in your houses, for instance. There's a lot happening here. So tell us about what we're seeing here, the factory, and why don't you walk us through the benefits of this, not only for the end user, but for the government of California to really understand what's going on, for general contractors to understand what's going on.
Yeah. So this is a 270,000 square foot facility, $40 million to construct this, built ground up for us, between the shell and the equipment, that we opened a little over a year ago in the Tejon Ranch, which is about 20 miles south of Bakersfield. It's right off the 5. Depending on what we're doing, we can do 3 to 5 million square feet of product a year. So it has very, very high capacity. It's the only facility in the U.S., automated facility in the U.S., that does both panels and modules. So what we've been seeing are the wall panel lines. We've got a wall panel line, a roof panel line, and a floor panel line. And then what you're starting to see here are the 3 lines we have for module production. And every module is comprised of panels. A good chunk of our projects, sometimes it's a majority, it isn't currently, but it's a big chunk of our projects are hybrid. They're both modules and panels. And we're doing all mod projects and we're doing all panel projects. And the reason we do this is, again, as I mentioned earlier, we're not a product company. We don't have a specific kind of design that we offer. Instead, and our founding premise, we're working for developers, homeowners who have specific needs because of their lots, because of their zoning, because of their design requirements, because of their program, and they want a specific design built more efficiently. That may be a single family home. It may be a 400 unit multifamily project. And it turns out the industry has evolved with 2 major building systems, modules and panels, and sort of every other company out there does one or the other. And they both have great advantages and disadvantages, or challenges, I should say. Modules are great because you can build in parallel to your site work. Obviously, you can make it much faster as a result. Sometimes you can take advantage of lower costs for your production vis-a-vis your site. It's an all-weather facility. You can have your various skilled trades working in parallel. Those are all great advantages. The downside with modules, they're expensive to ship and install. You have to have plans that are specifically designed and engineered for modules. You can't just take site design and engineered plans and make modules out of them. And there's a lot of redundant structures. So particularly for the multifamily folks, you often have to reduce your unit count or reduce your floor plans per unit to adapt to a modular system. Panels, you don't have the redundancy of structure. It can solve any design. They ship flat, super efficient to ship. And you can use site-based plans. They don't have specific or special engineering. So those are great advantages. But kind of the state of the art in panel, SIP, structural insulated panel, you still have to do electrical, plumbing, cladding, drywall, paint, if it's a kitchen or bath, your millwork, your towels, your appliances. So all that work shifts on site. And I should have mentioned earlier, we are specifically targeting areas where land and labor is expensive and labor is scarce. So our clients are wary of more site work. So we offer both systems. And when we look at a project, we look at the design, we look at the transportation and install logistics, your budget, your schedule, and we figure out what's the best solution. Sometimes it's all panels, sometimes it's all mods, and often it's a hybrid, typically mods for kitchens, baths, utility cores, and then panels for bedrooms, hallways, places that don't have millwork and plumbing and complex trade work. So anyway, I kind of took you through what's unique about us. I didn't describe so much what people saw, but the initial part of that video, and you can see that at plantprefab.com, you can see this video, was the automated process we used to create the panels, from literally cutting every piece of wood we use. So every stud and joist, the rim joists, all done by this piece of equipment that's incredibly powerful in terms of its capacity, its precision, the kinds of, it can cut, rip, dado. Our plumbers and electricians are not doing any kind of cutting and routing on the floor. It's all done by this equipment. Every piece of wood is actually labeled so that we know exactly where it goes, the project. We always start, by the way, with a digital twin that fully coordinates SMEP
Right.
and even the sprinklers. And we're doing all RFIs at this level digitally. And this model has the machine code that drives that equipment. And then the equipment you saw nails the studs, the joists. Another piece of equipment applies OSB or waterproofing, cuts the openings. And then we have panel lines for interior or exterior panels, and there we'll do drywall. We'll hang the drywall. We'll put in windows. We'll do the openings for the doors, and then some of those panels go on to create modules in the module line. Here's that piece of equipment I mentioned that does the cutting of every piece of wood.
Yeah, this equipment is really state of the art. And listen, I think it's really important for builders to know out there, especially those that are already using a panelized system or a SIP system or any system for that matter, whether it's floor cassettes, trusses. You have both options for them. And I think that is invaluable. You can give them a full volumetric modular solution, or they could still, if they want to just stick with panels, you can try and show them the modular side of it. If they say, hey, I'm old school and I want to stick with panels because that's where I'm comfortable, you also give them that ability with the precision that other manufacturing and other panel shops cannot give them, especially with the digital twins, right? Where you have the modeling, you're showing all the MEPs, the sprinkler systems. On top of that, everything is laid out on the lumber, like you were saying earlier, and the insulation's in.
Yeah.
That's an installation machine. Look at that.
So we can do a complete weather wrap.
Yeah.
We can give you your complete building envelope. I should say, I meant to say, we can give you your complete building envelope with of course your weatherproofing, all windows installed if you want, with closed panels, closed walls. If it has plumbing, we can't do that. But if your plumbing is like an interior wall, which we've done, or in your floors, So we have great flexibility. And again, we're a B2B company, so we're selling to the GC. For us, or for you, we're like a master sub. And by the way, if we
Right.
can't earn that, if we're not a more efficient solution than typical subs with whom you work, well, then you shouldn't work with
Right.
us. But oftentimes we're proving to be that.
You know what? If I'm Governor Newsom and I'm watching this show, which I hope he finds it and watches it, he's thinking right now, all right, one, how do we put people back into housing, temporary housing, full solutions, all of that. How many units can you put out the door in a year? So if we were talking as builders, how much production space can you do? How much can you get out there? Just to give people an idea of how quickly you could help rebuild and build in other areas that haven't had these disasters as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends on the size of the home, right? But we think we can do 3 million plus square feet of product a year. So, let's just to make the math easy, if it's a 1,500 square foot home, that's 1,000, that's 2,000 homes.
Right. That's an entire neighborhood and then some of housing that can be done. So, all right, so let's get into the product a little bit. Right now, I'm showing the single family. You do multifamily. Is it a hybrid approach? Is it all wood construction? Walk us through what the process is.
So our system is set up for wood framing. We do have a metal shop, and we do metal, steel, where it's I should say steel shop where it's required. So oftentimes for projects, and you can see some here, for example, that Ray Cappy in Santa Monica that required steel, obviously, to deal with the moment frame for the sliders there. So we will do steel support structure as necessary. We don't do all steel framing at this point. We have, and we know how to do it, but we're really focused on wood and then supplementing with steel where it may be necessary.
Got it. Walk us through some of the current projects you have, Steve. I know you guys just did a set. I believe it was Colorado. I saw you post on LinkedIn. So tell us a little bit about what you have going on now.
Yeah, so that was a 4,800 square foot home. Very nice home, right outside of Telluride, our third project there. We have our first multifamily affordable housing project that should get installed at the end of the month or beginning of February. It's for the Community Corp of Santa Monica. It was designed by Brooks Scarpa, one of my favorite architecture firms in the world.
Very
super
much
exciting. As I mentioned, 100% affordable housing. And one nice thing about it is it's for youth that's transitioning out of foster care, or at least many of the units are set aside for that, which is an area that's often underaddressed. Well, affordable housing is in general greater demand than supply, but that particular area. So feel great about that. We've got a 60 unit affordable housing project for Koreatown that we should start with Cloud Apartments that we should start construction with later this year. So we're also really excited about that.
Yeah, and you're taking it to new heights, even with Cloud and others, with using low voltage wiring versus traditional wiring in these homes. The homes are all smart homes. Now, I want everybody to hear that these are affordable housing with smart technology in them. Right? You guys are not, just putting in the bare minimum. And that's what I love about what you're doing out there. And I know affordable housing in California and in Aspen, Colorado is much different than affordable housing in, Bozeman, Montana, or wherever, right? There's a difference in what the prices are and what's affordable. However, you guys really have a strong focus on working with design, some of the best architects in the world, to deliver people truly what they want, whether it's single family home or it's a high-end luxury home or it's a multifamily building. You guys don't skimp on the quality that has your name on it.
Yeah, and that, again, founding premise, we felt like there was a real need for people who want to do high quality, sustainable, we haven't talked about that, projects that are custom to their lot, their design requirements, their program,
Right.
The vast majority of prefabricators really focused on products and or lower cost housing. We felt there was an opportunity to do this with a more custom, higher quality product, more sustainable approach, and so that's what we're doing. And
Yeah.
the other part of this, as I alluded to, we are Benefit Corp or B Corp. We care a lot about our ecological footprint, how we operate the product we build. So we're very careful in terms of the materials we source with respect to energy and water use and non-renewable material resources, the health. So, off
Right.
gassing. These are all things that we're very considered. We take a very considered approach to the materials that we use.
Yeah, and I'm gonna play this video one more time. I just love it so much. And speaking of that, we do have a manufacturing tour coming out here in the next couple of days, so everybody stay tuned for that. It's
Yeah,
behind the
excited about
scenes.
that.
Yeah, it's going to be a behind the scenes walk. You and I walk the plant. We talk about each and every station that's there. So if you're interested to learn more and in more detail of how these plants operate, we're happy to be dropping that in your inbox here soon. So let's talk about sustainability. Let's talk about resiliency. I want to know in just your own words, Steve, why is this a better way to build, whether it's panel or module?
Well, so let me say the reason to build prefab. So I'm just kind of speak for the industry in general. You can save time, typically considerable time, if only for the fact that you can work in parallel to the site work, and that's a significant thing. I mean, 30 to 50% time savings, because again, in a traditional process, it's very linear. Typically, the various trades don't work at the same time. You've got to do the site work, so the excavation or grading, the utilities, the foundation work before you can start the framing, and electrical and plumbing and finish work. It's a very linear process. Here, you can work in parallel, so you can save time. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes you can save money, as mentioned earlier. Tends to be less construction waste, considerably so. Most plants will do shop drawings before they start the work, so they understand more carefully the materials they need. They'll order less. They also, because it's a central facility, will store and reuse materials. So that's kind of an industry, some of the industry advantages. More predictable. Just if you have a schedule and budget, you tend to hit that more often, whereas oftentimes with site built, schedules can get delayed, frankly, by the way, often because of weather, but also overscheduled subs can get hit with change orders, particularly because oftentimes there aren't the same level of shop drawings that really where you can clarify a number of the construction issues. So those are time, cost, sometimes on cost, not always, reliability, some construction waste. These are industry advantages. Specifically with us, we are very focused on sustainability. I talked about that earlier, and I can get into some of the materials, but I want to shift a little bit and talk about what one can do to build in a more fire resilient way.
Right.
And I really have to start with landscape, funny enough, which we have nothing to do with, but there are many things you can do with landscape. Creating a buffer zone, being careful about the materials you source that can and do provide a significant advantage in fires like these. This one was more difficult because of the winds. That's
Right.
typically not. We had almost hurricane level winds. That's very rare in wildfires, because typically when it happens here with the Santa Ana winds, which are high winds, these were much higher than normal. They tend to happen in the rainier season, so you don't have that kind of perfect storm of events. But with specific respect to how you build, in the homes we've done, where people are more interested in fire resiliency, we're looking at metal roofs. We're looking at cementitious siding instead of wood. These are things that make that home more resilient. Some people have installed water suppression systems that flood your roof. So these are some of the things that one can do to increase the resiliency, actually, of the construction of the home.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, there's been a lot of conversation on the plants and the underbrush and maintaining the woods and the forestry around all these areas as well. But yeah, you're 100% right. You got to take away the fuel, or not give it enough fuel that it can do what it's doing. But when you have 100-mile-an-hour winds, well, you could have a little backyard fire, and that could blow 100 yards into somebody else's backyard.
Yeah.
So, like you said, it's unheard of. But you are right. The metal roofing, the fire resistant siding, right? Whether it's like a cement board siding or metal siding, there are other ways to help protect the home that people are using. And I think that moving forward, I'm very hopeful that the code's going to take a look at that and make the right decisions. I also recently read, Steve, that the governor has released some of the hurdles to have to get through to rebuild. I don't know if you saw that, but there was a press release
I did, yeah. Yeah.
Which I think is great, as long as it's the right hurdles to get. That's the biggest thing. We want to make sure people are safe when they get in new homes. We don't just want to build to build. We want to build homes that people will be safe in.
Yeah, and after the Woolsey fires in Malibu, I mean, Malibu had some processes that allowed people, if you were building kind of within 10% of your existing building envelope, to expedite the permitting process, particularly if you were in coastal commission area, which typically takes a long time. They did allow for ADUs to be installed on a temporary basis. Typically, you can't do an ADU unless you have an existing home, but they sort of reversed it. If you want to build an ADU, which we did for a client who then built their main home later, so it gets you back on your land quicker. So I'd be surprised if LA doesn't do that. There, as I mentioned earlier, far more structures impacted here, a far greater problem already with housing. I can't imagine that the mayor in LA and the council aren't going to be very diligent about making sure that the process is as efficient as it can be.
Yeah, well, and I hope they do, and I agree with you. I think it's front and center, and all eyes are watching. So this is a chance to really make change for the good for some of this stuff. Steve, before I get to some of the comments that are in here, is there anything that we didn't talk about, or anything you'd like to say?
I think we covered a lot. Thank you.
You were supposed to say, yeah, watch our video coming out that Dave did at the factory tour. You're going to love it. It's an awesome video.
No, I didn't want to. I wanted to allow you to do that. So you're welcome.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank
you. Can't wait. It was a great tour.
It was. It very much was. All right. So, hey, we got Etienne Goubier. Hey, Etienne, how are you, my friend? Very much looking forward to today's episode. Thank you, Dave, for putting this on. Well, thank you for joining us. Etienne is the CEO of North and South America for SIGA, house wrap, right? Air barriers, house wraps, all the fun stuff that keeps us warm and dry and comfortable. Joel Hutchins in the house. Happily put my design and build capabilities in the mix. All right, Joel, listen. Hey, you guys should be working together. There you go. Get some good housing designs for Mr. Glenn there. LinkedIn user, sorry, it's not popping up who you are. It is quite fascinating to see how PPF has been able to make themselves unique and do all three mod panel hybrid, allowing total flexibility. I would agree wholesomely. All right, and let's see who else we have in here. Greg Ugaldi. Dave, Steve makes a huge point that is often minimized or even overlooked. Offsite brings efficiencies and savings by its parallel construction side by side with site preparations. Greg Ugaldi is the past chair of the NAHB and updates president and secretary of housing occasionally on what's happening in the housing world. I'm sure you're probably going to be pretty busy, Greg. All right, one more thing here. Peter D. Maria said he put Governor Newsom's executive order in the show notes here. So if you don't know Peter, another great architect, lives in LA. So Peter, I hope you and your family are all doing well and safe. If we can do anything for you, let us know. So this is amazing. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Steve, I know we're out of time. You got a busy day ahead of you, but I always appreciate when you take the time to talk to us. Your knowledge and your ability to actually help people do things much better, much faster is above everybody out there. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Dave. And you and Jen are really doing such a great service to the industry. I mean, there is no resource out there that better kind of covers what we do, that's helping to educate both those of us who work in the industry, but, you know, frankly, more importantly, those of us who we can work with about the opportunities and the advantages. So really appreciate the work you guys are doing. Thanks for including us. And again, anyone out there, Steve at plantprefab.com. I'd love to hear any ideas you have about how we might work together or how we can be helpful.
Yeah. Well, Steve, you guys are doing all the hard work. I'm just out here telling the stories because people need to know there are better ways to build. The way we've been building has not been working as efficiently as it needs to be. We need better solutions. And here we are, Plant Prefab's another tool in the toolbox, and people needs to really understand what's out there and what's available to them. So, Steve, thank you so much. Everybody else out there, thank you. Don't go anywhere, Steve. I'll come back to you at the outro of the show here. But for the rest of you, we cannot deliver any of these informative conversations without our supporting members. So be sure to say thank you to these members as well. I'm Dave Cooper. It's only Monday, 4.5 days left to build it better. So, get busy. We'll see you Wednesday. Thanks for watching. What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you. And as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper.